Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a powerful story perfect for boosting your English listening skills. It's called The Easy Life and the Earned Smile, and it's set right in the heart of New York City, where one spoiled young man thinks having a rich father means he never has to work. This tale will show us what happens when luxury meets reality and how a little tough love can change a person forever. Get ready to learn some great vocabulary about business, hard work, and what it truly means to earn your success. The easy life and the earned smile. When I was young, I believed life was simple. My name is Alex, and I grew up in a golden cage on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. We lived high above the city, in a luxurious penthouse apartment. From my bedroom window, I could see the city lights sparkle like scattered diamonds. My father had money. He had a lot of money. He was the owner and CEO of a major marketing agency downtown. He was always busy, always on the phone, always successful. Because of his success, I did not have to worry. I did not worry about anything at all. I did not study much at the university. I certainly did not work. When I saw something nice, a new expensive watch, a limited edition pair of sneakers, a weekend trip to Miami, I simply asked my father, and he bought it for me. It was that simple. My friends were like me. They often told me to start thinking about the future, about a career, about planning. But I always laughed. Why should I work? I would ask, why should I worry? My father has money, and that is enough for all of us. I truly believe that. Every morning, I woke up late. Sometimes it was noon. I had a quick breakfast, usually expensive pastries, that my housekeeper prepared. Then, I would spend hours on my phone, scrolling through social media or playing video games. Time was something I always had too much of. In the afternoons, I went out. I met my friends. We drove his fast, expensive cars through the city streets. We never took the subway. We ate at the most exclusive restaurants in the city, where the food was art and the bills were astronomical. We wore clothes that cost more than most people's rent. Life was easy. Life was fun. I thought it would always be this way. I never thought about money, only about how to spend it. When I wanted to travel, I booked a first-class ticket and left. When I wanted a new phone, I bought the latest model. My father paid for everything. I never stopped to think about how hard he worked to earn that money. I never asked him about his business, his problems, or his stress. I only enjoyed my life. I only thought about today. I never thought about tomorrow. One Tuesday morning, my father called me into his office at home. It was a beautiful room, filled with dark wood, leather books, and a huge window overlooking Central Park. He was already sitting at his desk. He looked serious. His usual smile was gone. "Son, we need to talk," he said. I smiled easily. "Yes, father. Is this about the new sports car?" I was thinking black or maybe dark blue. His face did not change. He was not happy. He was not joking. I felt a small, cold drop of nervousness in my stomach. My father was always kind. He almost never said no to me. But this day was definitely different. He took a deep, slow breath and looked straight into my eyes. "You're not a child anymore, Alex," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "You are 22 years old. You must think about your future." I laughed a bit too loudly. "Father, I have everything I need. Everything is perfect." He shook his head slowly. "No, my son, you have everything you want because I work hard. But life is not always easy. The easy life is temporary. One day, things may change. What will you do then?" I did not understand. I thought he was worrying for no reason at all. Everything felt solid, like the heavy marble floor under my feet. I tried to reassure him. "Do not worry, father. Nothing will change. Everything is fine." He did not smile back. He looked at me for a very long time. It felt like an hour, though it was only a few seconds. "We will see, Alex. We will see," he finally said. I thought he was just in a bad mood, perhaps stressed from a big client meeting. I stood up and left the room quickly. I did not think about his words again. I went out with my friends. I laughed. I spent a lot of money. I did not know that my life, the easy one, was about to end. The next morning, I woke up late as always. I stretched and reached for my phone. There were many messages from my friends. They were planning a spontaneous trip to Europe. I smiled and started getting ready. I put on my most expensive clothes, sprayed my high-end cologne, and walked downstairs to the living room. My father was there, waiting. He was dressed in a simple, dark suit, and his face was serious again. "Sit down," he commanded. I sighed and sat down on the sofa. "Father, I have plans. A flight to Paris this afternoon." He cut me off. He looked directly at me. "You're not a boy anymore. You must learn about life." I rolled my eyes, annoyed. "Father, I know about life. My life is great." He shook his head once. "No, Alex, you do not. You know about money, but you do not know about life." Then he said something strange. "Come with me." We were taking a detour. I followed him outside and down to the street. I expected to see his sleek black sedan and our private driver. Instead, he walked to a modest, older SUV and opened the passenger door himself. We started driving. The city looked strange that morning. I was not used to being awake this early, certainly not in the front seat next to my father. We drove away from the beautiful, manicured streets of the Upper East Side. We drove past Midtown and into a part of the city I had never visited before. The buildings here were old, the brick was stained, and the streets were not perfectly clean. People looked different. They looked tired, but they also looked busy. They were walking fast, carrying bags, and moving with a sense of purpose I did not recognize. My father eventually stopped the car near a busy intersection. He pointed to a large card on the corner. "Look at him," he said. It was the hot dog stand owner. The man was older, wearing a white apron, and had a thick paper hat. The delicious, smoky smell of the grill filled the air. He was already shouting orders and handing out food to customers rushing to work. "He wakes up at dawn," my father continued. "He drives his cart here in the cold. He works standing up all day. He does not rest for long. He does not complain. He works to feed his family, to pay for his children's school, and to pay his rent. He earns every dollar." I did not say anything. I watched the hot dog stand owner move quickly, counting change, adding mustard, handing out napkins. He looked exhausted, but his movements were sharp and efficient. Then my father drove around the block and pointed to a large, unglamorous apartment building. In a lobby, an old janitor was pushing a heavy industrial cleaning machine. "She has been working here for 40 years, he whispered. "She does not have a fancy title. She does not have a corner office. But she comes every single day. She cleans. She keeps this building safe and healthy. She works hard every day." I looked at the woman. Her face was lined with time, and her movements were slow, but she did not stop. She kept pushing the machine. She kept cleaning. I had never seen people like this before. I had never thought about them. I had never understood that their world was the real world, the world of work. My father turned to me, his eyes gentle but serious. "You see now, Alex? Life is not easy for everyone. Some people work hard simply to survive. But you, my son, have never worked a single day in your life." I felt strange. I wanted to defend myself, to argue, but I could not find the words. I looked away, staring out the window. For the first time, I felt small. I felt different. Something inside me, the shell of the easy life, cracked a little. We drove back in silence. I sat quietly, thinking. The images of the hot dog stand owner and the old janitor stayed in my mind. Their efforts, their simple, honest, and continuous effort, were shocking to me. My life had been so easy. Now, I felt a deep sense of unease. I did not know why. My father finally stopped the car. We were in front of a giant, modern glass building in Midtown. This was his office, the marketing agency. I had been here before, but only to visit the executive floor to ask for money. "Come," he said. I followed him inside. The office was a whirlwind of activity. People in business casual clothes were walking fast. Phones were ringing with important client calls. Large screens showed data, charts, and advertising campaigns. My father took me past the glamorous reception area and into the heart of the business, the lower floors. I did not say anything. He led me to his huge corner office. He sat down and gestured for me to sit on the visitor's sofa. "Do you know what I do every day, Alex?" he asked. I shrugged. "You work. You own the agency." He nodded. "Yes, but do you know how hard I work? I wake up before the sun. I make big, risky decisions. I solve impossible problems. I take care of this entire company, which supports hundreds of families. And I do all of this for you, to give you the easy life." I looked around the office through the glass walls. I saw young employees hunched over their computers. I saw managers looking stressed. They were all working incredibly hard. I had only ever seen the money my father gave me. I had never seen the sweat and time he spent to earn it. I felt a new emotion, cold and heavy: guilt. Then my father slid a small, plain employee handbook and a cheap plastic ID badge across the table. "From tomorrow," he said, his voice firm, "you will work here. You will start from the bottom. You will learn the business from the ground up." I was truly shocked. Me? Work? But I don't need to work, father. I'm a wealthy man's son. He shook his head. "You do, because one day I will not be here. And if you do not know how to run this company, how to work, how to earn your own way, then what will you do? What will happen to the golden cage?" I had no answer. I had never thought about a life without him, or without his money. But now I had no choice. My father had decided. Tomorrow, my life would change. Tomorrow, I would start working for the first time. The next morning, I woke up early. It was 5 a.m. The city outside was dark and quiet. It felt strange. I was used to sleeping until 10 or 11. My body felt stiff. I was used to being rested. I got dressed in the clothes my father had laid out: simple khakis and a polo shirt, not designer labels. I went downstairs. My father was already at the kitchen table, reading a business report. He stood up and handed me a small paper bag. "Your lunch," he said. I looked at him in surprise. "Lunch? Can't I just eat at the expensive Italian place downstairs?" He shook his head. "Workers bring their own lunch. And today, Alex, you are a worker." He led me to his huge corner office. He sat down and gestured for me to sit on the visitor's sofa. A woman walked up to us. She was wearing glasses and a sharp, simple suit. She looked serious, intelligent, and completely unsmiling. "This is Mrs. Taylor," my father said. "She is the department head of compliance. You will work directly under her. Listen to her. Learn from her. Do exactly what she says." Then he left, just like that. Mrs. Taylor looked at me, a young man in expensive clothes that she clearly did not approve of. "Follow me, Alex," she said, her voice dry and direct. She walked fast. I had to almost run to keep up. She gave me a chair and a small, worn desk in the corner of a large room. The room was full of dozens of other people, all quietly working on computers. "You will check these papers," she instructed. She dropped a tall, heavy stack of documents, client expense reports, on my desk. "Look at the numbers. Find any mistakes, any receipts that don't match the budget. Mark them with a red pen. And work fast. This is not a holiday." I stared at the stack of papers. There were so many. They were boring. All of them. I asked, hoping it was a joke. Mrs. Taylor simply nodded. "Yes. Get started." I sat down and began. At first, it seemed easy, but the numbers all started to look the same after an hour. My head began to hurt. My eyes felt tired from focusing on the tiny print. I wanted to stop. I wanted to call my friends. I wanted to go home and nap. But I couldn't. Everyone around me was working. Nobody was resting. Nobody was talking about luxury cars or European trips. It was not like my old life. This was work. By lunchtime, I was completely exhausted. I felt physical pain in my back from sitting straight and my neck from looking down. I opened my brown paper bag. It contained simple food: a sandwich, an apple, a bottle of water. No fancy dishes, no expensive imported drinks. I ate quietly at my desk. I watched the other workers. They ate quickly, usually while still looking at their screens. Then they went right back to work. No long breaks. No frivolous conversation. Just dedication to the task. I miss my old life. I miss my absolute freedom. But I also felt something completely new, a feeling of respect. These people did this every day, and now I was one of them. The afternoon was much harder. My hands were tired from writing notes on the reports. I felt sleepy. I wanted to give up. Mrs. Taylor came to my desk. She picked up the first 15 papers I had checked. She looked at them with a frown. "Mistake here. Mistake here. This number is wrong. You missed the missing receipt here," she stated, pointing to my errors with a thin finger. "Your work is sloppy, Alex. You must be more focused. Do it again." I sighed. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell her I was the owner's son and she could not speak to me like that. But I did not. I just nodded, took the papers, and started over. When the day finally ended, I felt different. I was bone tired, mentally drained, and physically sore. But something inside me had changed. For the first time, I understood how hard people worked. For the first time, I understood that money did not simply appear. It was earned. As I walked out of the office and into the crowded street, I saw my father waiting. He did not ask how my day was. He only smiled a knowing smile. And for the first time in my life, I smiled back. Not because life was easy, but because I felt like I had earned that smile through my own effort. The next day, I woke up early again. My body was sore, and my hand was still stiff. I wanted to stay in bed, but I could not. I had work to do. I got dressed quickly and went downstairs. My father was already reading his report. He looked at me and nodded. "Good," he said. That was all. But it felt different. It felt like he was proud. When I arrived at the office, Mrs. Taylor was waiting. She did not smile. "You were slow yesterday," she said. "Today, you will work faster." I did not complain. I sat down and started. The expense reports were in front of me again. The tiny numbers were waiting. My head hurt, but I worked. I did not stop. By noon, I finished the entire stack. I took it to Mrs. Taylor's desk. She checked it carefully. It took her 10 minutes. I stood there, holding my breath. "Better," she said. Only one word. But that one word felt incredible. It felt better than buying something expensive. It felt better than wasting time with friends. It felt like I had done something real. During lunch, I sat with a group of the other junior workers. They talked about their families, their student loans, and their small victories at the office. They ate fast and went back to work. I listened to them. I never thought about their lives before. Now I was sitting with them. I was one of them. The afternoon was challenging. Mrs. Taylor gave me a stack of reports on a different, more complicated client. "Let's see if you can handle this compliance audit," she said. I wanted to complain, but I didn't. I just nodded. I focused. I worked. I kept going. I wanted to prove that I could do this. I wanted to prove it to myself. At the end of the day, Mrs. Taylor looked at my work one more time. She did not smile, but she said, "Not bad, Alex. You're learning." Just 3 words, but they meant the world to me. I nodded and left the office, walking past the desks of the other busy workers. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. I worked every day. At first, it was hard. My body ached. My mind felt tired. But slowly I got better. I learned the systems. I made fewer mistakes. I worked faster. Mrs. Taylor still rarely smiled, but she stopped complaining. Sometimes she even said, "Good job." Those words felt better than any gift I ever received. I started to understand money. Before, I only spent it. Now I saw how much effort and time it took to earn it. I watched my father work from a distance. I saw him in meetings. I saw him handle client crises. I saw him take care of the entire company, the foundation of our life. I never respected his work before, but now I did. He was not just a man with a lot of money. He was a man who built something with his own talent and hard work. I was not the same person anymore. I felt different. I felt stronger and more capable. One evening, my father called me to his magnificent corner office. He looked at me for a long time. "You have changed, Alex," he said quietly. I did not know what to say. He continued, "At first, you were lazy. You did not care about the business. But now you understand the cost of time. You understand that your money is not magic. It is a product of effort." I nodded. He was right. Then my father surprised me. He took a sleek, magnetic key card off his desk and gave it to me. This was not the cheap temporary badge I had been using. "This is your key," he said. "Effective immediately, you are moving from compliance to the junior account management team. You have worked hard. You have learned humility. Now it is time to take the next step and learn how to lead." I held the key card in my hand. It was just plastic, but it felt incredibly heavy. It was not just a key to a new office. It was a symbol of his trust. The next day, I moved to my new area. It was not a large office, but it was mine. I had a proper desk, my own computer, and real responsibility. I was no longer just a worker checking papers. I was learning how to manage clients and how to contribute to the agency's success. It was not easy. I made mistakes every week. I had bad days, but I did not give up. I kept working. I kept learning. I wanted to be like my father. I wanted to build something of my own. Looking back now, I laugh at my old self. I thought life was easy. I thought money was simple, but I was wrong. Life is work. Life is effort. Life is building something with your own hands and mind. My father taught me that. And now, I am ready for the future. Not because I have money, but because I have finally learned how to earn it. And that's the end of our story. I hope you felt inspired by Alex's journey and learned some valuable new English words. If you enjoyed this video and you're ready for more listening practice, don't stop now. Click the video that just appeared on your screen to keep your English learning going, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new story. See you in the next video.